When I gave my maiden speech, she did mention that in terms of the history and so on, and she liked the connection and all that. So I'd just like to say that I wish her well, and wish her well in all her endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Noel. Okay, Honor. I want to take the opportunity on my own behalf and yours to welcome our newest senator to the chamber, Senator the Honorable Roderick St.Clair. He was sworn in at the joint sitting of the Houses at the ceremonial opening of the parliamentary session. And we did not have the opportunity, Senator, to extend to you a fraternal welcome to the chamber. So we want to use the opportunity to do so now. At the rate we are going, Senator, it looks like this chamber will shortly be the local government of the parish of St. Andrew. And that's a good thing, because you have been famously known as the breadbasket of the state of Grenada. But I think you can make a claim to be the germinating station of senators, because St. Andrew is, well, I wouldn't like to use the word overrepresented, least I may send a wrong message, but certainly it has a dominant presence. From the Labour leader, to your goodly self, to the two opposition senators, St. Andrew is dominating this chamber. And it's taken over from Carriacou, okay? And it's a good thing. I know other parishes may be a little bit jealous, but all it means they have to work harder. I'm not necessarily recommending that we have proportional representation in the Senate and that it should be made up of persons, one from each parish. I mean, in the United States, the Senate is constituted that way. But it must be a moment of pride. Senator St.Clair, for you to be here. Pride not only for yourself and your family, your parents if they are still alive, and even if they're not, the fact that they gave birth to someone who can sit in the highest decision-making chamber in the land is really quite an astounding achievement for which everyone would be proud. But to also come from St. Andrew, the traditional breadbasket, speaks a lot. From the little knowledge I know of you, you and I had an engagement at my office after you received your instrument. I am convinced that the farming community will be well served. And if you don't execute that, I will be personally disappointed. So you have a challenge. There's no reason for me to believe that you won't rise to the challenge. The farmers have been the backbone of Grenadian civilization. In earlier periods, even from the time of our indigenous foreparents, up until just recently, tilling the soil, mastering the soil, harnessing its potential for food and sustenance, has built Grenadian civilization. Indeed, is the foundation upon which international capitalism grew its strength. From the naked exploitation of our foreparents, who struggled as unpaid, bonded labor without rights, equal to chattel. The records of capitalism and slavery and the works of Dr. Eric Williams and others is a testimony to the important transformative role that agriculture has played in the history of humankind and continues to play. Because no human civilization can exist without food. So you have an important mission. And I am certain, with the energies and foresight and enthusiasm of the Minister of Agriculture, if you all can find ways to collaborate and to engage in a constructive arrangement for the welfare of our farmers, who face a world in transition and change. The plantation economy of yesteryear, which made others rich, has found itself in a transitional form in the world today, where, while it is still fundamentally important, may not necessarily have the same kind of degree of economic force and power. It's the realities of the new world. But I'm certain that with your efforts, your acumen, your hard work, and most of all your commitment to the ordinary people who till the soil, who do a very important job, I am certain that if we build sustaining partnerships that focus on growth and development, and let us be clear, there are going to be differences. There are going to be hard times. There are going to be obstacles. The question has always been, how do we overcome them? And what do we do? And therein lies your challenge. So with these few words, Senator, I personally want to welcome you to the House. And I will allow the other members of the Senate in their own individual capacities, because I think that's only proper, for them also to record the gracious welcome to you and to make you feel at home. As I said to you before, my office is opened all the time. And your colleague, Senator Tessa Sincere, can attest to that. I have called her on the phone and WhatsApp her different days of the week. We have communicated on many matters related to Parliament. And the same goes to any senator. In fact, at 4:30 this morning, Senator Judd and I had an exchange. I sent him something around, I think it might have been 11:30. He responded around 4 this morning and asked if he could call me. But I saw the message when I got up to feed my dogs at 5:45. And when I tried to reach him, I didn't get him. So I'm saying this to say to you that feel free to call me at any time on any subject. And if I am able to assist you, rest assured that I would. Honorable members, therein lies my welcoming remarks to the Most Honorable Roderick St.Clair, representative, in the Senate of the farmers of the state of Grenada. Thank you. I noticed Senator Cox, did I see? Senator Cox's light, yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I too wish to like to take the opportunity to welcome dear colleague Senator St.Clair to this honorable house, and also to extend an offer in terms of support specifically to agriculture, as that is one of my areas of competencies. I've worked in a different capacity serving farmers for more than a decade, so I truly do have an intimate knowledge and understanding of some of the challenges and some of the opportunities that there lies where agriculture is concerned, and is one of the areas that I do have a strong passion for. And so I am saying here in this honorable house, feel free to call on me in any capacity, personally or anyhow, for any support towards any initiatives towards the farmers and the development of agriculture going forward. Mr. President, I think there is a wonderful opportunity here within this honorable house. It is one of the best places to be, especially around this time of the year. We normally be the last to leave for the Christmas break, and so we have an opportunity to express that sentiment around that time. That is one of the beauties of this place, and it also lends itself, because of the diverse nature and competencies of the individuals here, for an exciting and, of course, enjoyable debate in this honorable place. So I think that you're going to enjoy it. I think that you may not want to leave when you start to enjoy our operations here in the Senate. So welcome and all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I want to join with the other members of this honorable house to welcome Senator St.Clair. Interestingly, he was actually my neighbor for a period of time. So not only is St. Andrews represented here well, I noticed you forgot to mention Senator Cadet, who is also from St. Andrews. But, and Senator Gowie. But Senator St.Clair was actually my neighbor for a short while, and my brother had a small business that Senator St.Clair used to patronize. So I wish to take this opportunity from the opposition team to wish you well in your stint as a senator for agriculture, representing the agriculture sector. Like the other members, I would like to extend my best wishes, and if you do need any support, we are also here to support you. So all the best.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, like those who went before me, I want to join in welcoming Senator St.Clair in this honorable house. Mr. President, yes, as you rightly said, that St. Andrew is well represented here in this house. In fact, Senator Cox and I was trying to figure out Senator Dialli, whether or not he has St. Andrew's root. I won't be surprised if you have 100%, St. Andrew have 100% representation in some way or another. But I welcome you, and I, like the others as well, as it relates to youth in agriculture. It's an area I'm quite interested in. As you know, with so much things happening now, and agriculture being a main pillar in this economy, I think we can have a great discussion in terms of engaging more young people in the agriculture field. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I want to join my voice with the sentiments shared or expressed by my fellow colleagues. Before, I just want to say to my good brother, welcome. Mr. St. Clair and I have had several debates on several issues over the years, and I do believe the bond and relationship we would have developed, very mature, very respectable, and so forth, will continue as you embark on this journey, very important journey, and that is to represent a major sector within the country, and that is agriculture. And of course, as we know, agriculture is one of the pillars of our dear land. And coming from Birch Grove in St. Andrews in particular, where nutmeg would have been our hallmark, some cocoa, a lot of banana, but mainly nutmeg, we understand the value of agriculture to the rural communities. And you have been given the mandate to champion this going forward. You cannot do it in your own sphere, in your own zone. There must be teamwork. So there is a great need for collaboration and teamwork with the Minister of Agriculture. A man in similar nature to yourself, and I guess as much Monty will agree with me that he is outgoing like Roderick himself. And I think when you both put your heads together as it relates to serving the sector, I expect a lot to happen. And with your commitment, I do believe the agriculture sector is at a better place with you on board. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Gawi. Senator Noel.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I too want to welcome Mr. St. Clair personally, because I know him very well. We often meet from time to time. And the fact is that we're from the same parish. And I know that he has a wealth of knowledge and experience in the field, and that he will serve the agriculture sector and community well. From my point of view, the fact that I'm very passionate about agriculture as well, I'm looking to work along with him as well and render support where it's necessary, because I believe that, especially at this time with unprecedented pandemic at hand, agriculture should be one of the main pillars, I often said it, going forward in this country in terms of our development. So I want to take the time out again and welcome him personally, because I know him well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too want to add my words of welcome to Senator St. Clair. And we had experience when I was in the Ministry of Agriculture, you at the MNIB, and you've always come across as a straight talker, very knowledgeable, very passionate about the development of the agriculture and fisheries sectors. And I think what I've always found with you is your objectivity. You are a bridge builder, working at a grassroots level, but also with a very keen interest at the policy making level, and the need to build capacity, extra capacity within those sectors. And your appointment here to the Senate, I believe, is another positive step forward on the path, on the journey that you have taken. And I know I also want to recognize your predecessor, Senator Campbell, who also made a valuable contribution. And I know that you will, in a very similar way, build on those who have gone before you. And just a closing note, I notice everybody is claiming to be from St. Andrews. There was a time where everybody wanted to be part of the Kakubawi clan, but now clearly it is St. Andrews. And I must admit, I cannot say I have roots there, but I know I'm in very, very good company. So once again, it's through you, Mr. President, welcome, and I look forward to working closely with you and the valuable contributions we know you're going to be making to this House. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And it is indeed a proud moment to welcome Senator Roderick. Guess you will permit me to say my good friend, my buddy, my comrade, Roderick. Not only is he from St. Andrew, but he's also from Ladig. And we both grew up together and engaged in many robust discussions, debates on the blocks. Yes, and so for myself and Roderick, it is very important, and understanding the important role that the farming community plays in our nation development. And not just understanding that role, but understanding and being knowledgeable of the fact that Roderick himself grew up in the lands and owes almost everything in terms of his foundation, as many of us, to the lands, the cocoa, the nutmeg, the banana, the spice, cutting the spice, the different things. So it is a very proud moment, and I'm absolutely confident that he will continue that rich legacy of representing the farming community, which by extension are workers, the parents of workers. And even if we inadvertently may have tried to shake off each other, but our path is just meant to be, because as the general manager of the GCNA, our union represents workers at the GCNA. So we have had that engagement. And it's a useful engagement because what he is into the interests of the community as a whole. And my brother, my friend, it is a very proud moment to welcome you to the Senate, where we can give it our best shot in the interest of the country. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, would like to join in the chorus of welcome to Senator St.Clair. Well, I am not from St. Andrew, but I do have an uncle who lives there. I am from the other side of the island, the parish of St. John, and of course those parishes share similarities. But nonetheless, we are all brothers and sisters in here, and we all have the same goal, which is the development of our country. And of course, I don't have to tell you or impress on you the importance of your position as a representative of one of the pillars of our economy, agriculture. We are all aware that we have so much to do in that field, and I am confident that you will take on that mantle and perform your duty faithfully, thoroughly, and with the same level of impartiality and integrity as your predecessor. Now, this is a house of scrutiny, a house of review. It is far more exciting than that other place. So I'm sure you will enjoy the engagement here. I'm sure that we will have many interesting exchanges of an exciting nature. Senator Garraway will make sure of that. And I look forward to engaging with you in this house. So again, Senator, welcome.
So, Senator Diali, yes.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Jakes, welcome. I can't add more to what he's saying. My interaction with you have been very businesslike, and just as leader of government business said, he is a very forthright, very frank, you know where he stands with the individual. And I suspect and I know that you will represent your constituents well based on how you have articulated in the past. And just to let Judd know, I am from the other side. I am from the west. I have the privilege to be on the St. Andrews side yet. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Honorable members, I think at this time we would give Senator St.Clair the opportunity to respond to this whole litany of recognition. And the floor is now yours so to do. I've given a commitment that we are going to put together a booklet, and it is fortuitous that we haven't done so as yet, because had we done so earlier, you would not have been in the booklet. But the idea is to put together all the maiden speeches, to record all those who served, because that is one of the defects and deficiencies, that you can't go into a single place in our archive and find senators who have served. You have to go through bits and things of documents. So we are now doing some documentation and so on, but it struck me as a very good project. So you can rest assured that your maiden contribution would grace the pages of the booklet that is going to come. Before this Parliament is dissolved, we'll be able to do that and to give each of you an opportunity as we have those speeches on record. So the big day and the big time is now. Over to you, dear Senator. You have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning to our colleague members of this chamber. As we say, this is my first time, and so I will try my best. I had to give my maiden speech, Mr. President, a topic, a title, so I can be guided for this presentation this morning. After much reflection, I realized that I need to refer to it as rebooting agriculture. The time is now. And rebooting, both from a technological standpoint, when it thinks about rebooting a computer, and also rebooting in terms of putting our boots on as a nation and engaging in agriculture. A lot was mentioned about St. Andrews, and my good friend, Mr. Luis, give a history of myself, I would say already. Yeah? I've done a lot as a little boy growing up in agriculture. As you say, the spices, fishing, hunting, getting up in the morning, going in the lands with my father, you know, eating the coconut bakes and all of those things. I think we all know that. Madagawi, on the other side member, would have gone through all of those. But what we need to recognize for this whole agriculture sector is that I remember going to school, and on days you don't see some children to school. Why? Because they have to go in the lands. They have to go on banana day. And so I understand very much as an individual what this means for our country, and we all would have lived that same life. I would have, as I said this morning, my neighbor string, but my member friend Khalid, is born in Grambas land, in Grambas. That's where my neighbor string is. That's where I born. I grew up in Ladig. And in all those cases, it's about farming and agriculture. So, fishing, as I mentioned, we go in La Tuna and up in the Granitang and interface with the environment. All of that became part of our upbringing. I went to the Mount St. Ovens Second Primary School. That school is no more. It's a sad moment. I then went on to the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School, SAS, as we know, it's a sports school. I couldn't win a race, but I tried some little bit of running. I practiced very hard. I didn't make it, but my principal then, Mr. Julian, said, go, St. Clair. I guess he knew where I was going to. I never gave up. Okay, so that was some of my past. I also had my stint at the Institute of Further Education. But I think what is more important at this moment is that, as my friend Brother Cadet mentioned, when I finished school, I had nowhere to go. I was home for almost 1 year, and I had to be farming, literally not going with my father or my mother, but actually doing it myself, because that was the only thing I could have done. And then, of course, play a little tennis and cricket and evening with my colleague, Andre. I remember during that time, you had people like Fimber Hopkins up in Monks and Dovans. He had a farmers group. And so I was very close to them. So I was able to learn a lot from these elderly persons. I then remember having to go on a visit. They say they have a field tour. I say, field tour? Young boy, 19, 18 years. And they say, yes, the Minister of Agriculture is coming. I say George Brizan. I don't even know who this person was. May his soul rest in peace. And we went and we visited Paradise and Paul's, and he was there with his boots actually visiting with the farmers. And so I had my experience way inside of there. So it is this sort of energies that continue with me today. I then worked with Dr. Marcel and his team at the Produce Chemist Laboratory. This was very important. So I moved up the value chain, if you want to say, as I said today. I moved from planting and I moved to the lab. We are testing things. We are assisting people like Papi, may his soul rest in peace, with his agro products and so on. And we are adding value to products, to some of the cottage persons. So there I had an appreciation for about adding value and able to do things right, customers, consumption, healthy living. So I learned a lot of those things there. And through my travels and studies abroad, I was able to understand within the US system the importance of agriculture, apples and all of those things, strawberries, garlic. I used to be planting those things in the backyard where I was living. And so I never lost sight of that. But I also involved in another angle. I actually taught agriculture science at the secondary school. Many of the farmers today in the St. Andrews area would have had some little teaching from me and be able to make a better life of themselves today. Some of them now I still would represent at this level, and they would assist me in the various ways to contribute better. But the turning point, I think, is when I entered the MNIB, where I spent over 20 years there, and been able to be exposed to so many things that I didn't even know before, locally, regionally, and internationally. And that gave me a whole new perspective and a lot of different things, the issue of groups, dynamics, and so on. But what I think was most important, Mr. President, is in my travels, I try to look at things that can help this country. So, for example, when I went to Rwanda in Africa, you see that the cassava farmers, they were bringing in the cassavas in bulk, and they were actually producing cassava flour, packaging it, and selling it within the local space, providing it to the schools and the institutions right in Rwanda. And so sometimes we sit here and we wonder what is going on in Africa. Good things is happening. When you go to Ethiopia, we have been also, the mother really say you have to go right down to Ethiopia. You saw what they were doing with honey and beekeeping. And their bees was wild bees. They had to climb on the trees like Africanized bees. In Grenada, we have nice, friendly bees. Okay? But things was happening. I went to Costa Rica, and I see at the end of the day, they would take all of the agricultural waste and make compost. So you wonder, what is happening in Grenada. So all of those give me that sort of inspiration. And I could give you a long list, which I would not go into more, which through networking we would share. My background broadly is in total quality management. It is in value chain and market development. So I always look at how can we do things better. And that is what drives me all the time. I believe that there is always a solution to anything that will come up to you. We may not find it today. We may have to pack it a little bit. We may not find the correct solution, but a solution we must find. But as I present this morning, Mr. President, it wasn't necessarily my favorite subject in school, history. But I thought that what has really happened to agriculture? You listen to the elderly and they speak about what used to happen before. So I say, you know, we teach agriculture science, we teach history, but we never taught the history of agriculture. What has happened in Grenada regarding agriculture? We may speak about Fedor and all of the others, but what has happened to agriculture? And so history will teach us that within the period of 50s up to just before the revolution in 1979, agriculture was on a slope heading downwards. And it was because of the whole political climate and underdevelopment going on in this country. I was able to read a report by a professor out of Manitoba University in Canada, published sometime in 1985. And they speak about 5 fundamental problems that they were able to observe that caused this decline. They speak about the land for the landless program by the then Soire-Giri regime, taking away land indiscriminately from estate owners, so they are scared to develop it. We speak about shortage of labor for farms. We speak about poor extension, poor roads. And we also speak about civil unrest leading up to the independence in 1974. So I reflect and I say what Soire-Giri has passed away. Independence has passed away. But the more reports I read and the more I listen to our farmers, Mr. President, I realize the same thing is here. So I take a little journey further, and I say, you know, people speak a lot about during the revolution. I'm not too sure because in our generation, a lot of the persons who are alive can speak about this era of the revolution. And from my own personal experiences, I say, but yes, we had a Maribo agriculture training school, training persons to be extension officers. So there was some effort to revitalize, because if something was going down, what need to happen? We had the MNIB, which owned a boat because it can move fresh produce to the Caribbean. And I hear people today saying, you know, we need to get a boat. Well, we had a boat. We also had a perfume factory with investors from Europe participating, and which government actually had shares involved in that. People speaking right now about we need to do fish fillet and we need to smoke fish, and we had that. We even had a fishing school. And of course, our good friends from Carriacou, you know, you had your lime factory. You used to be shipping to Trinidad, the livestock. Where is that today? In fact, someone said to me yesterday, Senator, you know, those boats going down empty now, you know, to Trinidad, and they're coming up full of other things, which I don't want to mention. So something changed. And so up to last night, I was speaking to someone, and I said, what changed? He said, well, if all that you had is not there anymore, where is it? What happened to it? And of course, it was only last night, so I didn't have enough time to do more research for it this morning, so I cannot give the rest of the answers to that. But while I was sleeping, I recall we had agro-industries We are making juice and fruit punches. Only in recent months, we would hear there is no lettuce in this country. But we used to export lettuce. We used to export grapefruit during the revolution. So what has happened? And so when I've been told, you have a huge task on your back, I've kind of seen, but it looks so it should, because there are a lot of things maybe I wasn't aware of. And maybe if I was aware, I might have said, well, But sometimes it's good that you only know afterwards. But I know some things of today, Mr. President. I know there is cane coke, actually, right in my neighborhood. A stone throw. If I throw a stone, I could show it right on the factory where I live in Conference. And I said, but there is cane coke. But a lot of persons forget we used to be growing sugar cane, and we had a coffee factory. But what has cane coke done? And it's a proud moment for us in Grenada and agriculture. A lot of youths are employed. Technologies are available. I saw an advertisement that they wanted drone operators, tractors, so you need persons to service them. You have local persons, good, well-trained individuals, running the operations. And then I say, but they have to have a lot of money to do this. That's a lot of money. How did they get this money? Well, there are different ways. But at the same time, you may have another gentleman down the road trying to get a shade house so that he can plant lettuce and cabbage so that we can always get. So the issue of technology, the issue of finance, they become issues and challenges. But there are other little initiatives taking place. You had the nutmeg, you have Miss Grenada Industries, you have the Juve chocolate, you have the goat milk, you have the Grenada chocolate. So there are a lot of other little startups, and it's good. But we need something to take us in a more meaningful way, in a more sustainable way, that a farmer could leave, or any one of us could say, let us go and plant 5 acres of land because we know we can sell and able to make money, we can pay people, we can provide jobs, and so on. This is the confidence that this sort of agriculture that we need to think about going forward need to be able to create. And so this is the vision, and of course, Mr. President, we had a nice discussion, and this is the vision we have to create. We won't get there tomorrow, but we will get there. So, are the farmers ready? The farmers are ready. This morning I was speaking to one of the farmers, and he said, farmers are ready. So then I said, well, what is holding you back? Mr. President, Grenada agriculture has been diversified through the years. We had cocoa, nutmeg, bananas. We see right now we have beekeeping, we have floriculture, we have poultry. So we have many, we have livestock is growing, and there are different challenges in those different subsectors. I wouldn't go into the whole long list of that here today because we're going to discuss that at a later stage. But of course, the issue of stray dogs running all hours of the night and day, destroying our sheep and goat and so on, that's a problem. It's an issue for those who want to engage in livestock. The issue of apiculture is the market is untapped, but they need finances to help them to improve. The issue of poultry, that need a whole conference to address. But there's great opportunities for the country to reduce its import bill there. We have the issue of nutmeg and cocoa. Great opportunity again. We have road access, and we need to look at how do we add more value to those industries. We have our other spices. One farmer said to me, Roderick, make sure we have to do something with spices. And I keep saying, why are you? He said, well, we have the Isle of Spice. But it's not only that. You would find that our spice production in this country has declined. And I could speak to that because I was involved in a lot of that spice business as a young boy. And fish. To our sister Williams on the other side, member, sometimes I spend a lot of time in Guelph. I find it to be a relaxing moment, and so I understand the importance of fishing. Of course, we have other parts of the country, but on the ground there, I could see and understand what fishing need to do for us. I know P.T. Matnick and so on, the longliners, but we need to do something with fishing. We have issues there, finance, ice machine, and so on. And floriculture is a striving business where we need to look at the issue of greenhouse technologies and so on. So, in a nutshell, I realize we have some problems that I summarized in a few key points. We are losing lands, buildings and buildings that just keep going up, and we are losing good agricultural lands. Our whole marketing system and infrastructure is very weak. Farmers cannot plant or grow a crop knowing how they would sell it easily. And so because of that, sometimes financiers are also scared to support. Technology is also underdeveloped. The same stories of the Gary time. We also have some of our policies and legislations. We need to help to fix them and make them better. And so when I was speaking to a colleague once, he said, you know, you would be here, you would be dealing with laws and legislation. I said, well, laws and legislation. So here we have an opportunity to look at that. We also have the issue of governance. And I need to say this, Mr. Speaker. Oh, sorry, Mr. President. Thank you. Stand corrected. Yeah, yes. We as the farmers, we need to do a lot by the way of fixing our governance and our groups and so on. This we need to do a lot of work on. This I've given a commitment to both Minister David and Minister Bain Oxford that we have to work on and we need to fix it. We need to get our house in order. And I've spoken to many of the different groups already and say we need to get that going. Because without that, we cannot move forward. We need to move towards a national body of farmers and fisher folks chanting the way forward in a very progressive way and providing confidence for the nation that we will take care of them in terms of food security and so on. And of course, our value added is totally underdeveloped. And I will say totally underdeveloped. We need to get it to the point where we can have it in terms of affordability, both for local, overseas, accessing markets based on the quality and all of those things like that. So this is areas, and of course, human resource and capacity building is another area. Look, for example, Mr. President, as I slept last night, it's a pity, I was dreaming too. During the revolution, when we started, and I say we, well, I was young, the farm school, as we call it, we had over 100 persons trained. Today, look at the age, if you work it out, 20 is almost 40 years ago. So it means that we are 60 years. So it means that without any big maths, that most of these folks would have gone through that training are out the door, retired or on the way to retirement. So who is going to be helping our farmers? I know the ministry is working on that, but is it too much, too late? But we have not lost time. So it reflects on to me is how we do things, because what we are seeing here in Grenada is no different in my travels, in my communication to different persons in the world. Even if you read on your own, it's not different. But you know, is how you approach things. And I like the spirit of the house and the sentiments expressed. We have to find ways to solve problems. And I'm very happy to hear this. Is how we approach problems, how we approach challenges, but how we also approach opportunities, because sometimes we could squander opportunities and lose it. So then said to myself, you know, we cannot afford for our farmers to go further down. We cannot afford for our farmers to be poor or poorer. Because according to a Polish proverb, it says, if the farmer is poor, then so is the whole country. We can't afford that. And so when you say that, and you give me the challenge of no, I smile, because we need to stop it. We need to stop it. So what does our farmers and fisher folks want to see? What is their vision? What is their aspiration? Because anytime you identify a problem, you need to have some ideas, have some solutions that you want to put forward. Of course, it has to be tested. But I have some thoughts that I want to share of not just my personal, but is distilled from discussion with other technocrats and operators in the industry. We need markets, strong, robust, vibrant markets, not just locally and overseas. How we do those things, I will not get into that right now. That's the strategies. So we want to see that. We want to see our agriculture lands safeguarded. Safeguarded. I don't want to say protected. I don't want to say secured. Safeguarded. And fixed farm access road. Some people say, well, let's repair the road. I say fixed road, meaning that the road we know at the end of the day will be fixed. We need to have strong, functioning national farmers organization. And I make a commitment that this has to happen. We need more youth, but I'm not hearing the women part, and women in agriculture. We need that for continuity. We need to have more monies available. And I'm not saying where the money has to come from, but we need more monies. In Africa, for example, right now, Mr. President, countries there are saying, we have investment programs in different areas that the government want to stimulate, and asking the diaspora to invest back into those areas so that it's their homeland, rather than having their money stay away in some bank, and they can bring it to develop their countries. And so we need to look at that. And because I've highlighted this point here, because I think it's very important for persons following us on this matter. Of course, we need a supportive government policies and framework. And of course, I've heard a serious commitment from everyone inside here today. So I'm very happy that we're almost there with this. And of course, we need to have a proper disaster and food management plan for this country so that we can withstand the shocks of not only natural disasters in the form of weather and climate change, but also in matters of the COVID, for example, pest and disease outbreak, and other such like. Capacity building and skills training is very important. And during the revolutionary government administration time, today, I would say close to maybe 60–70% of our technocrats have benefited. And that's a legacy that we need to keep pushing, because more education, more capacity, we are able to do better. But when you look at it again, Mr. President, these are the children and cousins and nephews and nieces from the landowners, the farmer, and so on, that has grown up through the years, and they have different positions in different parts of the world and different parts of the society, contributing in their different ways. For me, personally speaking, I've maintained my presence in this sector. I've never gone over, but what I've done is that I have merged and take other interest areas to help me develop. So whether it's ICT, whether it's information, whether it's marketing, as the case may be, to help to build, to make me a better person, so I can add more value to the sector. Farmers are happy at the end of the day when they start making money. That's the first thing. So you go into Cloget and they will speak about, when bananas was exporting, we had money spending. When nutmeg was growing, business in Grenville, was fully operational and so on. Fishermen could sell fish. They know money coming out because you go and sell your cocoa and your nutmeg and the banana and so on. So we need to bring this life back. We need to bring this life back. So this is where I think I come in. So I've been reflecting since before even having been appointed, because it's just my whole life. How do we move forward? What are some of the key approaches? It's not an exhaustive list, of course, and I'm not going to go into details, as I mentioned earlier, but I'm going to share. We need to have communication, dialogue. A lot of time things is happening and we're not sharing and we're not discussing, so we are wasting resources. So we need to be able to share in some dialogue platform. How do we move forward in addressing issues? Already for me, I have used some of the technology and I've already started a Facebook page, YouTube channel and so on to communicate within my constituents, but also to communicate with persons outside of the immediate constituents. In addition to that, I will be engaging throughout the country in a structured way, different parishes, different villages, with the farmers, so we can get the input. But of course, as you mentioned, the dialogue with our ministers, I already had meetings with the two ministers of Agriculture and Fisheries, and the future is bright. And so a lot is expected, as you say. We also have, so this takes care of my second point of the lobby, to unlock the bottlenecks that is going on in agriculture. They are not difficult. If we have a pipe at home that is not giving water properly, we know how to find a solution and fix it. Why is it difficult sometimes to find solutions to other things? And sometimes the solution that we need to find may not be a high-tech solution. But what we want at the end of the day is water running through the pipe. But we need to involve people who also know, people who can share in the knowledge and getting things on. We cannot leave persons out because, well, they're making noise or they're giving trouble. We have to be inclusive. I want to also suggest, Mr. President, and I'm not too sure if it's within my jurisdiction of speaking, but we need to have, at the government level, some, what I say, an interministerial body, a committee, and even at the parliament, to address this significant pillar of agriculture. Because we have opportunities of health, in disaster management, in infrastructure, in education, to find ways to add more value to the agriculture contribution in Grenada. And this becomes even more significant in times when this COVID situation are we not happening, we don't know what is going to happen with our tourism sector, whereas we wish and want it to come back. So in the meantime, we need to safeguard agriculture before it slips away from us. And of course, I will continue to engage local, regional, and international organizations through my network to see whatever support that we can get to advance this important sector. Mr. President, as I go into a very important part of my presentation, progression to the new agriculture. I need to follow this closely so I keep on track. This new agriculture that I refer to is one which would involve correcting the mistakes of the past. One that embraces the opportunities of the present and deliver real results to our farmers, fisher folks, their families, and everyone. That is what we want to see in the new agriculture. One that is transformational, not just something new because it's new. It must so what? It mustn't be that. You must feel the change. One that is driven by modern agro-industrialization, which means that we're looking from the farm, or from the primary stage right through to the end. How do we mechanize and use all those different technologies and techniques and technical personnel to be able to drive more market utilization and drive the economy? One that would involve, I'm not saying eat what you grow and grow what you eat. I think that what that has done to us is that we continue just eating if it's the same thing and growing the same thing. And I say we need to eat more of what we grow, and we need to grow more of what we eat. So that at the end of the day, we could have more markets for our local farmers and fisher folks. We want to also add more value, real value. Not the supermarket one, but real value. One where we have the brightest minds at work. Put them to work. A lot of bright minds outside that we're not utilizing. Let's make them work towards the future. Let's help them. Let's target their minds where we will see this country in the next 10, 20 years, and they know that they need to do something in some nuclear something or something to able to make that change that we want to do. When you look at countries of Japan and Singapore and all of those progressive countries, they would have done that. The revolution started it. As I said, something changed, maybe when I was sleeping. Mr. President, we need a new agriculture where our Grenadians, our Caricunians, and our Piti Matnikans can feel proud. Not only proud about the output, but they can feel proud that the younger persons, the children, the women, are getting more and more involved in this important sector. Because if you don't have in more uptick of new persons, what are you proud about? As Brother Luis said here, he feels proud. He was here all along, and he was feeling proud maybe for himself. Today I come, I know he feels prouder. Right? And of course, that is because there is a new uptick. Mr. President, we speak of history. However, this is important. Mr. President, I speak of history as being in the past. History, something that happened. But I want to put a new tone on this and say, however, I put forward that this must be the history of the future. We must start writing the future. Because if we're not writing the future, we will continue to remain where we are and keep reflecting on the back. But it cannot and will not happen by chance. It will happen when all hands come together and working in an integrated way for this child, agriculture and fisheries in Grenada. It will happen, Mr. President, when we love and care for this child, and we want to see this child grow and develop into success. That we want to see into success. Like many of us in our own lives, our parents would have wanted to see us grow into success. We are too small maybe to know that there was something called success. But they know what they wanted for us. We got here because someone cared. Our parents, our grandparents, strangers, the community took care of us. It said that it takes a community or a village to raise a child. This child of agriculture, where is the community? Of course, Mr. President, we may not have gotten everything we needed as a little child. We may have to postpone, we had to sacrifice. Our parents made sacrifice, we made sacrifice. But at the end of the day, in our different ways, we'd have achieved. As some would say, it may not have been an easy road, Let us be, let us in the broadest sense, beyond this house, Honorable House, Mr. Speaker, let us be the community for this child, agriculture and fisheries. Mr. President, as one of the fellow farmers said to me yesterday, I was chatting and saying, when I have this speech to give and so on, he said, watch, Senator, agriculture is not an outside child. You know. Agriculture is not a foster child. Agriculture is all of us child. And so I left there with a sense of energy, knowing that there are others who already start taking ownership and want to be part of this community. We must own it. It's urgent. Farmers are getting old, and they are worried. They are worried that this child may, they're not too sure where this child may be, and they may die. That is the urgency, Mr. President. In the next 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years, we'd want to look back, should we still be alive as ourselves, and say, what have we done? How have we helped this child? Have we found solutions to make this child better? Mr. President, a new agriculture and fisheries sector that we cared and nurtured is what we're looking for. Amidst the challenges, we must say that we found solutions. We must say that we stood up for agriculture because the community stood up, because I stood up, because everyone stood up. This begs the question, who is ready to stand up? I know I'm standing, and there are many others standing. Some of you, honorable members, might be sitting, and I know you cannot stand up when I'm speaking, but you will stand when you are called to stand. When we look forward into history, and I say look forward into history, how much of us want our names, want to see our names written in the soils, saying that we stood up here? Or see your footprint, the boots print that you stand up here. Time is limited, and time is running out. I signed up for this many years ago as a little boy, and I would have weighed different size of boots. I'd have walked different roads, but I continue to stand up. Today, I have given the opportunity to act in another level, and I welcome it. I appreciate it to the farmers, and of course, Mr. President, you said it for me, but I think it's honest that I say it from my own voice. My parents, friends, my wife, family, the community, local, regional, and international, who have helped me along my journey in becoming a better person. I assure everyone that my mind is very clear. It's very, very clear regarding the commitment and the responsibility and obligations that this current status, I'm saying the status, of status on your phone, holds. I understand very clearly. As I part, Mr. President, this new agriculture will happen when we have a consistency of purpose. We have to constantly be going after it and focus and not give up and say, well, I give up on this child. Because it's for the good of this country. It's good to help our income, our livelihoods, our healthcare system, the whole works. It's a good thing. A good that will ensure food security, good health, and will ensure a sustainable environment, will see our young persons actively participating and entering into this agriculture and fishery sector. And when you start seeing that, we know that it's time to move on. A good that will create a sustainable economy, and a good that will make us all proud, and knowing the future will be kept bright by the thousands of torches of agriculture and fishery sector. The way to know and understand is to get your torch and join. We all have to be in it, not to win it, but to see it. I'm calling on all, wherever you are at this moment, to get your torch and let us light the flame of agriculture and fisheries for a brighter future. Let it grow, Mr. President. I'm not a prophet. I never claimed to be. But as I learned as a little boy in primary school, there was a little nursery rhyme. I wouldn't go through the rhyme, but I will say it. But the time to be happy is now. Mr. President, honorable members, I say to us, I say to our nation, I say to our diaspora, light your torch. If you don't have a torch, we can find you one. Let's grow agriculture and fisheries. Mr. President, finally, as our farmers and fisher folks would say, the moon is right. The time is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator St.Clair. Very profound opening contribution. And I know you would be proud of it when you sit back and read it, or in the years ahead when your grandkids pick up that booklet that we have contemplated to read your contribution. Very instructive. Honorable members, it's fortuitous at this time although on a somewhat somber note, to ask of us, in the wake of this sterling maiden speech by the honorable member from St. Andrew, to pay tribute to the memory of another honorable member, a fallen soldier of this Senate, whom I had the privilege to serve in my early sojourn here in this house, and who was also a farmer's representative. He was indeed a specialist in agriculture, in that he was one of Grenada's leading banana producers. He passed away on Sunday, October the 11th, at age 72. This is my understanding that his wife also died earlier this year. Dudley Andrew was a simple man. He was fiery. Quite often I looked to him for partnership as I carried the workers' struggle in this chamber, and he carried the farmers' struggle in the same chamber. And we became very good friends.